This is the Simi Sarah Show on demand. Subscribe now on iTunes. Listen to the show each weekday 10 to 2 on 980 CKNW and through the Radio Player app.
You know, this is undoubtedly a very stressful, tough time, anxiety-ridden for so many people out there. Your day-to-day life has completely been upended. You might not have a job to go to. You're worried about how to pay your bills. And on top of that, you are now right next to that person that you are in a relationship with all the time. For some people, that's great. For others, maybe not. There might be some tension there now that everybody seems to be together all the time. It is causing strain on quite a few relationships out there. That's why our Nikki Reitmeyer spoke to Dr. Michal Regeve, who's a registered psychologist and marriage and family therapist.
Couples are really struggling to maintain their relationship, their loving relationship, their close relationship, because they're so busy with all the tasks and the kids and work and trying to balance everything and the worries, and especially if they have financial worries. But, even if just for 10 or 15 minutes at the end of each day, you just sit down or lie down together and connect and just thanking each other for the day and cuddling together and having sex if you are into it, if everybody is consensual. Sex is a great healer of relationships and actually improves your immune system. I don't know if you know that. So highly recommend it.
Our listeners will be relieved to hear it. So what about for a couple that is just finding themselves not connecting very well right now? They're bickering a lot and arguments are starting to brew. What kind of tips would you have for a couple like that? Something that's a really practical, a really usable tip that they can apply in order to avoid a big argument?
The first good advice is put some mechanisms in place so that you don't get to such a heated place where you're not controlling yourself very well, and then you cause some damage to the relationship, maybe to kids who witness it, and then you regret it, and then it's hard to come back from that. But if you do find yourself in a heated argument, I think the best thing to do would be to take a deep breath and take a break. It's okay to say, you know what, this is going to a place that we don't want to go, and we need to stop right now and take it back, pick it up at a later time when people calm down and where kids are not around, and you can think and you can control what comes out of your mouth.
And I know that sometimes when we fight, it's back and forth and it's back and forth and you did this and you did that, but we don't actually hear each other. We're not actually listening to what the other person is saying.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. And what I say to couples is that when they are fighting, they have to listen with a curious ear rather than with a rebuttal in their head. So, don't think of your fight like a court litigation case where you're just listening so that you can rebuttal your opponent, but listen with curiosity so that you understand, you try to understand where your partner is coming from and what's going on for them. And once you have that switch from fighting to curiosity, a genuine curiosity to know what the other person is going through, because we're all struggling, we're all going through something new and scary and uncomfortable. So we really don't know what's going on for our partner unless we listen very carefully, unless we encourage them to tell us.
Okay. I want to ask you about a specific example that I heard recently. It was a woman, but this could go either way. It doesn't have to just be the male or the female or whoever. But she was saying that she felt as though there was an expectation that even though both she and her husband are now working from home, thankfully have been able to keep their jobs, that she would be the primary caretaker of the children as well. And she's kind of going, hold on a second here. I have to get all my work done too. I can't take care of the kids as a full-time job on top of that. What would you say to couples who are having an issue right now with balancing childcare and work and perhaps those responsibilities sort of falling more onto one spouse than the other?
I would try to figure out whose expectation it is. Is it his expectation? Is it her expectation? Have they discussed the new situation with one another? It's so important to sit down together. And I know that people have been flying by the seat of their pants But people have to stop for a moment and just sit down, maybe once the kids are in bed, and discuss their expectations and the new situation. Frankly, if this is the situation where she has to keep a full-time job and he has to keep a full-time job and they have young kids in the home, it's not a realistic expectation of anyone to be the child care taker full-time as well. It just is not realistic. You probably have heard of the phrase, something's gotta give. And I just heard from one mother, how parents try to limit kids' screen time. And she said, I just decided to limit screen time to 24/7. It's not necessarily that I condone this, but something's got to give. It just goes to tell you that we need new rules for the game. This is a completely new game that we are facing right now, and we need new rules.
Dr. Regev, my last question for you is about couples who are perhaps struggling with alcohol consumption in the relationship. Maybe one spouse is finding that the other is drinking too much. Or, in contrast, perhaps the spouse who's listening to this right now is going, yeah, my partner is always telling me that I drink too much and it makes me crazy. How can couples have a productive and respectful conversation about alcohol consumption without it turning into a big fight?
Mm-hmm. I think, first of all, it's a really important topic. And with regards to telling your partner they're drinking too much, I wouldn't start there because nobody likes to be told and nobody likes their partner to become their parent, of course. Checking in with your partner would be more important than reflecting to them that they're drinking too much. What's going on for you would be the first thing that I would ask rather than you're drinking too much and you need to stop.
Yeah, right. So kindly and respectfully trying to get to the root of the behavior as opposed to just jumping in with an accusation right off the bat.
Exactly. And it's good for every day and always, and not just in these weird and trying times.
That is our Nikki Reitmeyer speaking to Dr. Michal Regeve, a registered psychologist and marriage and family therapist. And yes, these are trying times for a lot of people out there.